And then one day he gave me a CD, and just the magic marker said Slauson Boys on it.
He was going to do a show out in Jersey, you know what I mean, like a dog house, like what, you know what I mean, where the dogs is at.
And it's the earliest appointment any rapper has ever made for an interview.
I'm like, damn, Nip going there? You know what I mean?
He chilling, like doing him smoking, just like drinking, just cracking jokes.
Steve Lobel, seasoned veteran in the music business, CEO of A to Z Entertainment.
Datwon Thomas, editor-in-chief of Vibe magazine.
Slim 400, rap artist, how I've trained my new tape, hella shit on YouTube, check me out.
Rob Kenner, executive editor, Mass Appeal.
Tsu-Surf, Newark, New Jersey. Gonna get $7.25 on iTunes right now.
I met him a couple of times beforehand, you know, like at different industry events and stuff. But when the first time that we really got to kick it was around probably like the end of 2014.
It was at the offices of Vibe magazine 2009 or so.
You know, we've been was like DMing back and forth, like on, you know what I mean, on Instagram. Like, I see you, it's probably like 5-6 years ago.
See, a lot of people don't know this, but I was engaged to Big U's wife's cousin's niece. So the whole time that he was locked up on those 14-year bid, they were telling him about this white guy who's engaged to such and such, living in LA. So once he said her name, I'm like, oh, you family. So we never really talk about that outside of things, but I'll talk about it now. And he was like, yo, come see me, you know, in my hood tomorrow. I said, all right, cool. So I lived in the Valley. I went to, 60 neighborhood, South Central, and he was giving me music every day, CDs, music, and I was listening to stuff, and me personally, I didn't like it. And then one day he gave me a CD, and just the magic marker said Slauson Boys on it. So I was in traffic on the 405. Anybody knows LA, the traffic is the worst. So I was with my man Mexican Sean, we call him, and we're listening to this CD. And I hear this song called Bullets Ain't Got No Name, and I hear a song called I Don't Give a F. And I'm like, wait a second, man, it's the West Coast 50 Cent. He's spitting street shit, but he's singing melodic hooks. So I was like, wow, and at that time, the West Coast wasn't cracking. So I called him and I said, I got this CD. He's like, man, I gave you so many CDs, just come back and show me. So I went back and showed it to him, and he's like, oh, I don't even know who this is. Let me call my man Kev Mac, who was Thundercat in the streets. You know, Nipsey was little Thundercat, he was big Thundercat. He's the guy in all the interviews with the cowboy hat right now. So I call him Kev Mac. So Kev Mac came and said, oh, that's the Slauson Boys. I'm like, I need to see what this is about. So we went to some liquor store, and in the liquor store they were selling DVDs. DVDs were big at the time. And it's bulletproof glass. And we took a metal hanger and we pulled the last DVD out. And we took it back to someone's house and we sat there and I watched this DVD and I'm like, this guy looks like Snoop Dogg. He says, well, that's Nipsey Hussle. I'm like, what? That's an amazing name. Nipsey Hussle. He's like, yeah, it's Hoods to Rob, Cobby Supreme, Cuzzy Capone, Nipsey Hussle. I'm like, what? Wow. So great names. I need to meet this guy. So he pulled up, about hours later, I was sitting there and he pulled up, old Cadillac, long white tee. See, anybody know Nip, the only thing that changed about him was the size of his clothes. You know what I mean? So he pulled up, dirty braids, he had an S hat on. He had a chain, the Malcolm X chain. I think he had a Movado watch on, a Rolex at the time. Shorts, sticky shorts, Chucks. And he pulled up and then he said, oh, you draws, you know? They never met because draws was locked up. And, they talk, whatever, they talk. And then he said, oh, you Steve Lobel. I said, how you even know me? He said, I studied the music game. So Nip was doing a lot of stuff in the hood, giving out CDs, putting up poster boards, trying to make a name for himself. And just this whole charisma and his personality, we got out the car, I fell in love with him. That's like, wow. And we just started talking and talking. I said, I want to fuck with you guys. And just started going to the hood every day. We started going every day and just talking and making plans and going everywhere. And I'm like, yo, you're different, man. Like, something about you is different.
A while back when you first started coming, Nip actually came to my section, you know what I mean, on one of my blogs when they was doing videos, ain't shit. And people just chilling like this on some homie stuff, like just not tripping about where he at. And it's just being in another section, like red, blue, all that, like he chilling, like doing him smoking, just like drinking, just cracking jokes, like posting. It's like him being on a certain level and respected, and him doing that, it was cool for us in our section. Like, look at this, look at bro, like, all right, we can mess with him, like, and from there it just kept being lit. You feel me?
First time that we really got to kick it was around probably like the end of 2014, going into 15. I was doing a cover for him because I was the editor-in-chief of Respect magazine at the time, and I put him and Yo Gotti together on the cover. And he came in extra flossy, you know, big chains. He had, my man had the crazy big mink on, you know, for the cover. And I just told him to come photo shoot ready. And he was ready. My man came stunting. And he was just super cool. And we had a conversation after for the cover. I could just tell, even from just what he was doing up until that point, that he was a little bit more advanced than a lot of rappers that were at his point up until then.
He was going to do a show out in Jersey, you know what I mean, like a dog house, like what, you know what I mean, where the dogs is at, like, you know what I mean, that's what we call it, you know what I mean, like, I'm like, damn, Nip going there, you know what I mean, you know, so I tell him, I'm like, yeah, we gonna pull up, you feel me? He like, oh, come on, it was like he was inviting me to my space, you know what I mean, like, he like, oh, come on, yeah, we gonna be there, you know what I mean, and we pulled up. Super, he was outside, regular. Didn't even go in the club yet, standing on the side, talking, you know what I mean? And it's like, he was just super safe. He was comfortable in his skin, like he wasn't, and it's not, I mean, I don't really think it's about like a person being scared or knowing what's gonna happen or what's not gonna happen. He was just very comfortable with whatever was gonna happen, you know what I mean? Like, he just seemed comfortable, like, he wasn't sketchy, he wasn't over his shoulder, he was cool, you know what I mean? And it's just like, again, like, it take, like, what do you say, like, it don't matter what the color is. Some of these places is dark places. Just don't walk on some of these, like, some people's feet never touch some of these block sidewalks. Like, they will never walk down some of these sidewalks, you know what I mean? So, like, for him to pull up where he pulled up, you know what I mean? For him to pull up where he pulled up, that already say a lot in the street sense.
First time meeting Nipsey Hussle was at the offices of Vibe magazine, 2009 or so. Steve brought him through, and this was early mixtape Nip. Very intense, driven young man. The music was banging. Having worked on Snoop's first cover in '93, I felt a little bit of a familiar spirit in a sense, you know, but in a whole new form. And I didn't really get to speak with him until Victory Lab. So fast forward to Mass Appeal, February, during the press rollout, and the record had not yet put the first week numbers up yet, but he was like, you know, last time that I checked, we were going for a top 5 debut, and it's the earliest appointment any rapper has ever made for an interview. We met at 9:30. I had to set my alarm and show up early to work. And Nipsey sipped tea and just kicked like 24 karat game for an hour. Like, you know, as a content creator, I walked out of that interview with all kinds of ideas about how I needed to just step my personal situation up. So, you know, he said, we're not out here giving away bags of money, but the game is free. So, you know, let the best hustler win, basically, was his message that day. And, you know, the marathon is definitely ongoing.
Unfortunately, man, everybody told me no. I mean, I ain't gonna say names because I'm not a snitch, but every A&R told me no. Everybody in the label told me no. Everybody was telling me no. They said to me, and I set up meetings with every labels. If you listen to Keys to My City, he says it all in the last verse. And, you know, Sam was going away. Big U had just came home. He says it all in that verse, and they all passed. You know, Def Jam, Atlantic, Capitol, Dre, all of them passed. And when I left the meeting, I'll never forget this. As soon as I leave the meetings, they call my phone. You by yourself? I'm like, yeah. Steve, are you out of your mind? I'm like, why? Like, Steve, this guy looks like Snoop Dogg. Music is garbage. He's a Rolling 60 Crip. They're the most notorious gang in LA. You're crazy. And you're with Big U. He kidnaps people. I'm like, so? Like, yo, I fear no one but God. Like, I fear no one but God, but I believe in this. And we go places and no one believed in it, man. Every label passed. And we just said, you know, we're gonna do it ourselves. And we started, you know, just putting it out on World Star content. Shout out to Game, man. He took us on the LAX tour where K-Dot was Kendrick Lamar, hype man for J-Rock. And we did like 49 cities in 50 days. And that's where he named me Maniac Lobel, because he wanted to go home. And I'm like, we're not going home, we're gonna finish this tour. And we put him on the Tupac album, we just did different things. And to see the growth, and I work with a lot of artists. And Nipsey was the smartest artist I ever worked with, because all he wanted was knowledge. He wanted to go to Barnes and Nobles, get books. He wants to read, he wants to soak up the game. He was just different, he was special and unique. So that's just, how it all started with me. And that was over 14, 15 years ago.
I've only been graced with his presence a few times, you know what I mean? But that's kind of what make it spooky though. You know what I mean? Like the less you know him is what make it a little more creepier. You know what I mean? Like, cuz wasn't supposed to, you know what I mean? Like the way it turned out and stuff. So it's like, as a special presence, like, you know what I mean? You come across a lot of people, and obviously, you had a conversation when people passed, but like him, his spirit, because his spirit is obviously still alive or we wouldn't be here. Super strong spirit, super strong spirit.